Welcome, dirty peasants, to Wartwood Gazette, the Amphibia podcast. This is episode number 42, and we are covering Amphibia Season 2, Episode 2, The Ballad of Hopediah Plantar and Ann Hunter. I'm your host, Thembaticon, and joining me today we have Nick.
What's up, people?
Lemur.
Hello.
Sunsfury.
Hey, hey, hey.
And Pickle.
Hello.
Alright, thanks guys for coming on today. So, before we get to the episode, we had some really, major news. Amphibia is coming back on March 19th, alongside the Owl House as well. So, we're going to get 2 episodes this month. It's going to, that month. The 22-minute special, episode 10, Escape to Amphibia, and episode 11, Commander Ann and Sprivy, on March 26th. We'll get into more discussion about it later on. Just wanted to throw that out for everyone who already knows if they're listening to this. But yeah, I think we'll cover the Matt and Dana tweets later. But I don't think there's any other news other than this monumental one. So let's just go right into the segments. The first one we have is The Ballad of Hopediah Plantar, which was written by Michelle Cavan, storyboards by Eddie West and Anna O'Brien, and directed by Jen Strickland. And I think this is her first time directing an episode. On season 1, she was mostly she was a storyboard artist, so that's great for her. So, Ballad of Hopediah was basically them entering the town, their first town, Eddyburg, with all the tiny frogs, and Hop helps fend off the town from this one kind of bandit, and then he brought back his whole crew, the Hasselback gang, and Hop already kind of stretched the truth about what happened at Toe Tower and kind of marketed himself as a larger than life figure. And eventually we get that whole plot of Hop chasing glory, disappoints the town, then eventually he makes his return. Even though he still gets destroyed, he still inspires the town to rise up and go berserk and take out the Hasselback gang themselves. So yeah, overall, this was it was a fun episode. It kind of touched on what happened during reunion and how Hop was kind of riding that rush until Sprig kind of took him down a peg with his that song he wrote. And yeah, it was just a fun Western themed episode, and yeah, I just liked all the Eddyburgs, the Iddies, I think that's what they call them, were cute, and then eventually when they go berserk, it's just kind of dark when they see them, when you see them taking down the Hasselback gang. But yeah, I really like this Hop focused episode. But everyone knows my bias for him. So I guess starting off with Pickle, what were your thoughts on this segment?
I liked it. I know it wasn't as major a part of the episode, but I like that they had Sprig with his fiddle. I don't think he gets enough fiddle moments in his songs. I always liked those. I think it also it really kind of gets Amphibia's comedy of kind of being a lot of wacky events in the perfect order. A lot of cartoons love doing that, and I love when cartoons do that.
All right, thank you, Pickle. Sunsfury, what were your thoughts on this segment?
So this is a fun side adventure, and I just love how much the segment just commits to being the most spaghetti western you could possibly get. All of the music, all of the super exaggerated motions, and Hot Pop just like moving his legs around incredibly slowly and like his feet 15 meters apart. It's fun. It's silly, but that's what makes it fun. I like it.
All right, thank you, Sunsfury. Lemur, what were your thoughts on this segment?
Okay, so as far as like an episode for me as an episode, it's a good episode. Like there's really nothing wrong about it. I just don't find it that noteworthy because because like aside from a few moments, like you guys had said about the reunion stuff with Hop Pop and and the biddies and all that stuff. I just don't find this episode that memorable. Like again, like I said, it's a fine episode, and there is still some little tiny details that could probably spark some interest. But uh but as a whole, like when compared to like the rest of season two, this is probably the most standard episode of that season that we'd had. Because like in at least in almost every episode, there's at least one thing that kind of contributes to the bigger picture of the show, of the story, even though it doesn't work at times. But with this one, I don't know. It's again, like you said, there are some reunion callbacks, and there's and then yeah, there's also a good a good I guess building block towards the grand journey and everything and all of that. It's nice to see some parts of Amphibia that we haven't seen too. I like the Western style. I like the Western feel of the episode too. But again, it's a it's a fine but not noteworthy episode of Amphibia. And even then, like as even then, it's not really terrible. And I guess you could say that even some of Amphibia's most unremarkable episodes, they're at least good fun. And yeah, that's Ballad of Hopediah Plantar for me. Not necessarily memorable, but still a fun time.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Nick, what were your thoughts on the segment?
Honestly, I mean, like, I pretty much agree with what you guys had said about this episode regarding Hop Pop. It's a really nice episode for him, and like something I really enjoyed about these early season 2 episodes were just sort of how they kept on like nodding towards reunion even so they didn't have to. Like I like how this is sort of built off that episode. So like that was pretty cool. I guess like Lemur, I might have a gripe with this episode, but I feel like I expect myself to have like a huge one going into it. But then after finishing, I was like, oh, that was pretty solid. It was weird. Like I thought I was gonna be bad with this episode, but I really wasn't. I guess like my only thing is like I wish it wasn't so mean to Hop Hop, but like overall, it's just a really solid episode. Like I don't want to like mention too much and take away all the things we can discuss, but like yeah, I this is one of those episodes I'm surprised with how much I ended up enjoying it because I just expected myself not to going into it. But hey, I mean, this one surprised me, and that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Nick. And yeah, like I think I know what you were referring to with the hop hop slander at the beginning. And since we're like at the beginning of the episode, like we can probably talk about it here. Like Anne is going through her phone, and we get to see a little bit. I'm guessing I guess I could call them callbacks. Where the first photo, one of the photos Anne and Sprig took, I think was from Best Franz, and then we see that stuffed plushie that Sprig made of Domino 2. And then we eventually get the photo of like Toad Tower like wrecked, and apparently apparently after that scene of the planners like emotionally like comforting Anne, after that
Yeah.
like that very hard moment, Polly took photos.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Like, I actually think about it in the context of that episode's ending. Just wow, Polly.
Thanks, Polly.
I mean, yeah, she had to like remind us, and it's kind
Yeah.
it's kind of it's kind of odd seeing how like this is like episode 2 of season 2. Like this is only like 2 episodes. There's only one episode separating this and reunion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but
Too
it
soon.
is a little. Yeah. Man. Yes. I love this show for the fact that it does that. Like, it's, like, there's the whole thing where the Heron traumatized the Planter family, but then they make a big joke out of it in season 3. I mean, like, the Frog Show has been doing this since day one, so, like, oh, that's just, I don't know. It just makes me laugh, but I don't know. But just getting this back to the topic, I do have to say, like, I'm like split. I'm a split between two sides of the opening scene. Like, I'm one half of me is saying like, "Wow, the Hop Hop slander here." The other half, like, I'm laughing at him. Like, I can't help but laugh at Hop Hop. Like, it hurts. It hurts to see them making fun of him like this, but it's also just really hilarious.
Yeah, like
Pop up scene to me.
like and especially I mean Hop like I'm not discrediting Hop Hop, but I think even in reunion he didn't really do too much.
Yeah.
But like everything before that led to like the Toads trying to justify killing him. Yeah, like that was earned by Hop Pop. But like just like the events of reunion itself, like he was grabbing crab legs and
Sprig did more in reunion than Hop Pop.
I think the thing with Sprig singing the song about Hop Hop being kind of weak might have been a reference to Monty Python or like The Princess Bride. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I think I remember there's a scene. There's one guy who's known for being cowardly, and his band sings a little song about him being cowardly as he complains about it.
oh okay. Like I haven't watched those like or Monty Python. I haven't seen like a segment of that in like a long time. But yeah, that's cool. So yeah,
Oh.
like Sprig playing. Yeah, when was the last time Sprig played his fiddle? Was it
It's
Fiddle Me This?
It'll be this.
yeah, fiddle me this. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it was really nice to see him pick it up again. I mean, honestly, I really did like how the episode started. I don't know if you did we mention that. Like, I just really like how the episode opened up. Like, it was just Sprig messing around with his fiddle as they were going along their journey. Like, you know, it really they created this homely feel right off the bat by just inviting us to like a calm and quiet environment. You know what I mean? Like, it was just really, it was really just peaceful in a way. Like, it just gave me the feeling that they were just traveling like that for hours at that point. You know what I mean? Just taking it easy as a family.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's nice. Especially like the Flagon's design helps too. It kind of looks like
Yeah, exactly.
it looks like the planner home, so kind of
Yeah.
adds to that. Oh, I like how Hop Up like reference like stuff he did in past episodes, but then Sprig like Polly and Anne are just like boring, and then they just want
it's
action. So it's like they just wanted reunion instead of everything before it.
Wow. Yeah.
Typical Amphibia fans be like.
Well, no, but
Oh, yeah, hey now. It's
not
kind of considered poor form to insult your audience.
yeah, unless it's done correctly. But yeah, I disagree with that. I just thought it was just a funny thing.
I don't know. I'm just trying to make a joke.
But yeah, we enter Biddyburg, and it's kind of interesting how it was the not interesting. It's just like our first town outside Wartwood. I know the trailer, it kind of gave us like a glimpse of the town, so it wasn't like too much of a shock, but it would be nice to like ask someone who didn't see the trailers just immediately went in to this, like into the series, like how like what it was like.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good point because I don't think I would have expected Bitty Bird to be the first destination they ever stopped at. I know there were like like the ruins of despair, but like this is the first actual town. And like, I mean, I'm not saying they didn't do a good job of this, but it's like Bitty Bird, like that feels like one of those funny in the middle adventure. You know what I mean? Like that feels like that should be somewhere in the middle, like some. Which I don't know. You guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like you want the
just,
first town to
yeah.
be like kind of like more.
Yeah.
Well, this certainly had personality. Just maybe we're expecting something a little bit more like.
Big.
I
I
guess.
think
Yeah,
Wartwood
big.
was kind of the first town.
Yeah, I think Bitty Bird kind of has to be early on because the like half of the point of the episode is ha ha small town, and that's kind of the premise of the joke. I
Oh,
think it works
and-
early.
and actually, yeah, you're right, Sunsfury. And also, it's kind of nice how they started off small, literally, before working their way up to.
Wow.
Before working towards the biggest city in the entire continent.
Yeah, in like the whole in this world,
Wow.
basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought what the hell? Wow.
I just realized that. Wow. All right.
I never thought about that. Wow.
Progression.
That's that's just that's
development. Uh,
And also, I
I
think.
think that, I mean,
Oh, go ahead, Pickle.
Nick, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna mention how like Idiotbird kind of seems like something that carried over from the like initial concept where Anne was like there's like concept art of Anne being a giant compared to the rest of like the frogs. But then they kind of ditched that and made Anne a little bit like Anne's still like tall compared to the other frogs, but it's like not as like
Yeah.
dramatic. But it seems like that concept carried over into Idiotbird at least.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like some part of like the original idea survived a bit into the show.
Just on a more extreme scale,
Yeah.
just by a small margin.
Well, but I think even in that concept art, like Anne was like towering over the buildings the same way she did here.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I think.
Like I don't have it on me, but I know it's like the one where like Anne looked a little bit more like Hilda.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I'm trying to remember because.
And it was a lot like Wartwood or whatever town they had. It was like a lot more like densely populated.
I found that. Hold on.
I was like, I can't like imagine the show actually keeping those sizes. Like I can't imagine.
Oh, it's
watching
that one. Okay. I thought you were going for talking about like the pilot. Okay.
And
No, this is not one that I've usually seen.
and I think this was a good call to make because it would have made it kind of
Yeah.
difficult for Anne to like constantly interact with everyone.
Yeah. Also, like,
Yeah.
where would she even like live? Like, how would she? What house would she be sleeping in?
They'd like build her a giant barn.
Just realized there are toads and frogs in this one town too. There's no segregation.
Yeah, and it looks a lot more
Well,
like
I mean,
industrialized.
you can see there's the toads are the guards and the frogs are like the townspeople. So it's similar to what we had.
Yeah. There's someone in a shame cage too. Oh, there's Loggle. Wow, there's Loggle. I found Loggle.
So
But yeah,
back to the
I mean,
episode.
it's not the only.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pickle.
I think. I mean, there's no doubt. I feel like it'd be a bit strange to create this episode without it being inspired at least by the original design. But there's also a lot of differences. Like in the concept art, it's a much more like bustling city. While the city, like I'd say, it's like medieval times. You know, the sort of thing you think about like knights and dragons. Well, Bittyburg is more like the westerns. I guess they kind of combined ideas, or they didn't want it to be just, hey, look, it's the pilot, haha.
Right.
Not the pilot, the original concept.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, we get to Anne to like we see Anne interacting with the buildings. And I'm looking for the name of this first Hasselback member. Judrow Hasselback. So he's like basically he's not the big fish, but he's just like the
Good.
the goon. And then
Yeah.
like Hop Pop goes in for the glory, and at least he's able to like take on this guy on his own. Like he does the same thing he did to Sprig in like Sprig vs. Hop, and just uses his like throat and just
Oh,
intimidates him.
yeah.
The big rivet.
It was really funny because the guy he couldn't do anything to them. Kept on getting knocked to the ground, then he got back up, and knocked to the ground. I don't know if that was supposed to be intentionally funny or not, but it really was.
Yeah, he just like lunges at him. But yeah, so the biddies save like the biddies like cheer for him, and then Hop Pop, like even though he's already being praised by the town, he just wants to go a little bit further with the praise, and just he knows what he's doing when he brings up like the toads.
Hop Pop's
Like-
Hop Pop's a bit. We always knew that Hop Pop's a bit of a glory hound.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after his children like destroy him verbally.
Yeah, plus the acting thing too.
Yeah,
Oh,
then
yeah.
we get that 3-hour cutaway gag. Like that cutaway title card, whatever it's called. And then yeah, all of a sudden Hop Pop's like sitting on like a little cushion or standing on it, and then with the leaves in the background too, just to like just to
He's
overdo
really
it.
living it up. Something I did really want to mention though is I did like how supportive Anne was of Hop Hop in this episode. You know what I mean? And like I just really like the dynamic of like Polly and Sprig instantly protesting anything Hop Hop wanted to do, but Anne quickly like understanding where Hop Hop was coming from. Like I really felt like that showed off her emotional intelligence there, just really how they can relate and like what they're trying to do here, right? Because I know like Anne was trying to buy the favor of Wartwood. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she really wanted that. Hop Hop's doing that here with Biddy Burke. So it was pretty cool to have her have this sort of understanding mindset.
Oh, for sure.
Especially
Yeah.
when it comes to like both her character development. Like the beginning of the show, she would have absolutely made fun of Hop Pop. I mean, there's kind of an episode that started with that. All the way back in Cane Crazy, it was she was like getting into a little mock argument with him, and also kind of about her. I mean, her like, I suppose she can relate to wanting to protect a town. I mean, that's a lot of her character development over season 1, and it makes sense just jumping into seasons 2. You'd want to remind people of her character. I guess this episode does also do a good job of that. I mean, with having him sort of explain. Well, it was exaggerated, but still mention, yes, we beat the Toads last season. It works well for people still just getting back into it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all true. That's why I feel like there's also a real importance here to them. They keep using the word hero here in this episode. I feel like there is a real importance to this Yeah, there is a real importance to that. And what I also noticed is that Anne was the one providing advice as to what it meant to be a hero, and I feel like she's really earned that role, especially after season 1, hasn't she? Like all the heroic things she did for Wartwood, standing up for them and stuff. I mean, I don't know. That's just why I feel like, or that's why I felt like, I don't know. It's this episode. It's not like crazy. There's nothing like crazy special to it about it. I guess it's like weirdly like somehow this episode's like found a way in my heart. I guess.
This is a season 1 episode that somehow found itself on season 2.
I think that's the best description of this episode I've heard.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Because it is. Because it's like one of those early season 1 episodes. It just got somehow found its way on season 2. And that's not a bad thing.
I mean, a lot of early 2A has some of that vibe, but
It still has Anne's
no,
growth.
yeah.
Like this. Yeah, this episode makes like a great use of Anne. Like I will say, like fantastic job. I'd even say.
For an episode that has basically no Anne focus, she's very like good at being there, but not being. She doesn't feel like sidelined in a bad way, and when she is present, she seems like, yeah, this makes sense for her to be there.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then just as Hop Hop is like finishing up his exaggerated story of Toad Tower, we get the rest of the Hasselback gang, and they're just like they all have like their colorful designs. Like one of them's like a newt, and then the Mama Mama Hasselback is voiced by Jennifer Lewis from Blackish, which is nice celebrity celebrity casting. Yeah, and then she pretty much just like they just wreck Hop Hop, bully him, and then just like roll them away in shame.
Yeah, he was absolutely destroyed. Like,
Yeah.
And like we've seen Hop Hop, like he at least has like above average strength, which is probably like cartoon logic, which is fine. But I was hoping he would do a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like part of it was because he was just instantly scared by seeing. Like, how many were there? Were there like 5 or 6 people in the Hasselback gang? I feel like he just instantly gave up and got trashed. Like,
I mean, he's also pretty old. He's like 68. You gotta give him some leeway.
Yeah, but Mama Hasselback is too.
Like the floor like the ground beneath him cracks. Oh man, but at least he's fine. But I was hoping Anne and the kids would like put up a little bit more of a fight. They just get thrown into the bucket.
Yeah, they get wrecked immediately.
Yeah, Anne was just like, "Oh man, this is just like middle school. Like, what the fuck?" That was hilarious. That was
Middle school. Yeah, her current grade, her current level of education.
Yeah, it's like what Matt has said in the past about how Anne was written to be older, but then
yeah.
Yeah,
middle school.
The Hasselback family reminds Anne of Maggie. Let's go.
I guess since Anne was 13, she could have been in. I'm trying to think of like a proper like school education level for everyone worldwide. Grade 9, freshman, first year of high school. Then she could still like get
it
away.
kind of like varies by every school and every country what grade levels are and what year you're like age, or it's never a good.
Right.
How many years is middle school again?
3?
I mean, it depends.
I think it varies.
Yeah, it depends. Like sometimes it can just be 2 years.
In America.
Yeah, like in some American schools can be
3. Okay, thanks, Senpai.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, sort of like the way I saw the joke for me, I don't know. I just go back to what Matt said about their canon ages. You know, the fact they're like what 15, 16. Like, I know the show officially says they're 13, but that's just really what Disney says, and they're ready to be older than that. That's how I saw the joke myself.
There's two different types of ages: the Matt age and the Disney age.
yeah, but in this podcast we use the Matt age.
Oh my god!
Oh gosh, here
I
we
think-
go.
Oh god.
Yeah, so
I think 15-year-old in like LA. I know she's a private school kid, which means it could be different, but she'd probably be she'd probably be a high schooler.
Yeah, definitely. She would be in high school.
oh, I love how like that kid Bailey. It's like, is it true, Hopediah? Like heroes are a lie, and then Hoppa just so over the
He just
top.
loses it. Like he just loses it. Like he's so dramatic. Like Hop Up is so. I feel like that's comes from him being an actor, I guess. Like he's so dramatic about this stuff. He's like, true. Like he just absolutely loses it.
When has Hop Pop never
It's-
not been dramatic?
Yeah, that's true.
The real answer is a lot of times, but still.
This whole episode
Oh,
is
yeah.
just a giant L for Hop Hop. He like tries to do something and then he loses, and then the end of the episode where the big climax comes and he still loses, and then that's the end.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah. Also, I can't forget about Bailey, who is actually like the biggest highlight of this episode.
That lot are horrifying. Like straight up.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna talk about that one now?
We can just cover the like we'll get to that event. We'll get to that soon. But
All right.
yeah, they get rolled away, and then they're like they're traveling in silence, and then eventually like Hop just like breaks Sprig's fiddle like even before he plays a note.
Yeah, that was so uncalled for. But I guess he couldn't handle like any more slander.
Yeah, that's why. I don't think. Wait, has Spring Spittle come back after this episode? I can't remember.
Yeah, he put it back together by the end.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. Forgot.
I know we get another song Return to Wartwood, right?
Yes, and also by the end of this episode.
Dang, also, we have not heard his fiddle in such a long time, have we? I think Return to Wartwood might have been the last. Oh god,
Yeah.
we didn't even hear it a single time in 3A. Oh man.
Yeah.
Season 3B fiddle episode, please.
Soon.
Wait. Oh no, I'll say. I'm
Save for later.
I think I know what you're gonna say. I think I know what you're gonna say. We're gonna talk about it later. We're gonna talk.
Yeah, I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
But like Nick already covered pretty nicely the Anne's role in this episode when she's the one giving advice to Hop, and then eventually they head back, and then Anne's like completely on board. I like that what Nick said earlier, like how Anne understands Hop's like struggle.
Hop's point.
It's just really nice, you know. Plus, like, I feel like it really plays up the sibling dynamics between them too. Like, you have the understanding older sister, and then like, you know what I mean. She has to guide her younger siblings to understanding what's going on right now and being on board with that.
Oh, when Hop stops like the flagon, like Sprig and Polly just get like flung out.
Oh wait, did they? Oh, did they?
Yeah, it's kind of
so hilarious. I forgot about that.
I'm just looking over it again. Yeah, I think this is like the first like they get flung over again in Night Drivers in their episode.
Oh, it's hilarious. Also, I didn't realize how many times that's happened in this show, but now I do.
Oh, I also like that, like when they come up with their plan, like they're all whispering, and then Polly. We've seen that gag of like the group like huddles up, even though they're all alone.
Yeah, that made me laugh so hard. So I forgot that I did not expect that at all.
It's like in the same tier as texting each other when you're right next to each other IRL.
Yeah. Oh, that's just what I love about the comedy on the show. I feel like they find humor in any little corner they can. Like like whatever they can milk out of a scene, they will. That's what they just did right here. Like they could have just ended the scene on them huddling up and it zooming out, but no, Polly just had to question the logic of it, and that's just great.
Yeah, and the greatest thing is that I, like, at least personally, I did not question it at all. Like, I was like, oh yeah, they're huddling for a whole plan gathering, and it just, did not click at all. The fact that they were whispering wide out in the open, and Polly has to bring it to our attention, and it's really going, oh my goodness, that's ridiculous, but also it is now suddenly funny that I missed it completely as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what you're gonna do when you plan. You just need to huddle up.
Yeah, so we cut back, and the Hasselbacks are even more tough on the biddies. And then, yeah, like Hop Hop comes back. He makes this dramatic return.
Ooh, that was so cool. Like that had no right being that cool, but it was. Like just one word, he's like, "Ma'am." Like as soon as he sees it, like, man, that was just rad.
I wish they had. I remember Matt's poster had like Hop Hop wearing like a bandana and like a cowboy hat. Like I wish he had that instead, but I'll settle for this.
Yeah.
So he shows up, and then like Sprig, the kids are basically sniping the gang from above, and I like those like dramatic action or just action cards. And I also like the pun where it's like where he talks about like giving the other frogs a licking, because I know that's like a westerny like
Yes, Western
Good
lingo.
one.
Western lingo. Yeah, it was nice to see that. It was nice. It was just a fun thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then poor Sprig, like when Mama Hasselback like takes him out, like the cacti just fall on him again, and they do that Muppet expression.
Uh, I remember.
No, because like I just that one scene opened up like a whole well of like memories of 2-8. I feel like they hurt Spring a lot in 2-8, didn't they? Like he was constantly getting like kidnapped or hurt in some way.
Uh,
A lot.
yeah, the road trip
I
was.
feel like
Go
the
ahead.
Sprig cycle is get into trouble, get hurt, miraculously survive.
Yeah. Like he absolutely got the worst of it. Like he falls from that height, right? And then a bunch of cactuses just follow him too. That's great. That's just great.
Not his worst
Yeah,
fall.
Yeah. I think the Sprig episodes on like the latter half of 2A is like a compensation for everything has happened in Sprig in the first half of 2A in the road trip.
Oh God! I just noticed the worst part is the ground cracked underneath Spring. Dude, like how much pain was he in? Oh man!
Hey man, he
Call
took
him
down the
Squeaky Toy
pro.
for nothing.
He took down the Toads like he's a top boy.
Like he was hurt. So honestly, we say Hop Hop got the worst one of this episode. Like he didn't have his back broke. It's like that.
Yeah, so yeah, like once Mama Hasselback takes out Sprig, then they've lost their sniper, and then he has to get out, and then of course like Hop Hop's conscience kicks in, and I think Nick, this is one of our key moment in the 7 deadly sins of Hop. What was this? Pride?
Oh,
Yeah, this is definitely Pride.
yeah.
So yeah, like Hop, like in all of his segments, it's like he's he has the opportunity to walk away or be successful. Like not, I don't say be successful. Depends on the segment, but a lot of Hop Hop's segments, Hop Hop has an out, like an easy out. But then of course, like he has that like he goes through that like struggle of right and wrong. But then like of course always turns out, always does the right thing in the end. It's just interesting how it's like always happening with Hop Hop.
Yeah, it's really consistent.
Like before this, we had Lust with the family fishing trip. We can kind of throw Envy in there too. Did we get to Wrath
What-
yet?
I think we said Sprig versus Hop Hop was Wrath because he was like totally okay beating the crap out of an 11-year-old or a 10-year-old at that time.
And then we'll get Sloth later this season with the
what episode was that again?
Little Frog Town.
Wait,
I think-
Sloth?
Maybe we could say Little Frogtown was Gluttony because he did kill a man over sauce.
Oh right, that was for the
Can't
sauce.
forget
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Yeah, he did kill a man over sauce. Never forget. Hopediah Plantar killed a man for sauce. Never forget that.
The real plot of this show is Hopediah overcoming his manly temptations, or frogly.
Yeah.
So
Pop Up becomes the Joker.
Gotta learn to ascend.
okay, well yeah, I was getting carried away with the 7 sentence, but yeah, so Hop Hop decides to fight for what's right and then immediately gets beaten down.
Gets his ass kicked, yeah.
Yeah, then we see like the biddies just like lose like just the biddies go berserk, and this is probably how they've managed to survive for this long. And yeah, they just
And
wreck.
that's just
They just yeah, we saw that shot in the trailer of the biddies like ripping through like Mama Hasselback's chest, and just I mean they probably SMP probably just said, "Oh, they just ripped through the shirt," but like, nah, that looks like
yeah.
impaled.
Yeah. Like we could even about the blood and all the gore, we could tell what this show is trying to go for. Yeah, they're dead. Like the Hasselback gang is just dead. Like, and I think that's funny. And I'm like, it was also a good. I mean, I know it's dark, but it was also a good thing for the show to go that direction because I feel like most of the time when it comes to like episodes like this, where like the group of protagonists take care of like this evil gang, right, and then leave. I mean, the evil gang is always going to come back, right, eventually, because they're not going to stay there forever. So, like, I guess this is the best outcome they could have asked for. I mean, like, if the planners ended up leaving after taking care of them, who keep protecting the biddies? So, I don't know.
Right.
This is just murder. But hey, they had to do
Yeah.
that, what they had to do.
Okay, I have two things to say. One, this is foreshadowing, and two, this is like the second time that Amphibia's like tackled cannibals in the show. Yeah, cannibals in the show.
Well, they don't talk about like eating
Like
the
the foreshadowing.
Hasselbacks, but
I mean, well, they're biting. Yeah, they're biting Mama Hasselback. They're definitely gonna eat them.
I hope not. But what's also weird, not weird, it's just what makes this even more unsettling is that the biddies don't go into like an uncontrollable like fit of rage. Like we see Bailey comes up to Hop Hop like completely normal, which means he can control this rage and is just like this monstrous on the Hasselback gang.
Yeah, I have no doubt they'll probably get the Hasselbacks that got eaten alive by the big. I have no doubt.
Yeah, then they pretty much like set the town on fire doing so. Oh, we also get that quick joke about like that one biddy just like singing and tapping the spoons. And apparently
Yeah,
I remember seeing this tweet like a few months or like a year ago. Uh I think TJ Hill learned how to play the spoons just to record this, which credit to him for doing that.
That man is so good at making music.
So yeah, that, and then
After that, Sprig sing one last time with the fiddle, and there's a cliffhanger ending.
yeah, so this was also an interesting thing that they did for this episode where they had two. Well, we don't need to talk about. Do we want to cover Frobo now, or should we cover him at the end before we get into the season 3 talk? I think we should save him for later because I feel like we're gonna have the same points for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worth it doing. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, like they ride off into the sunset, and then we get that quick scene of Frobo. But just going
Yeah.
off the ending of the planter ending, it's funny how like they got right out and they do that zoom in effect at the end, which is cute. And then like Bessie like gallops kind of like Bessie like rises up like a horse. Yeah, it's just like a nice like Sunsfury said, it's like super like heavily based on spaghetti western. They just got to end it the same way. Yeah, just overall, it was a fun episode.
It was a good fun episode.
So unless anyone has any like final thoughts on Ballad of Hopediah Plantar, I'm gonna go on to the next segment. Nick, you good?
Yeah, none from here.
Pickle?
Yep, all good.
Sunsfury?
I'm all good. Let's get moving.
All right, Lemur, you good?
Yeah, not much else to say with the episode anyway, so
Okay.
I think it's best we can move forward.
All right, so we're going on to Anne Hunter. So Anne Hunter was written by Geneva Mai, storyboards by Cassie Zwart and Inbal Bretta, and directed by Kyler Spears. So this episode, planners need to find food, and has a different interpretation of what hunting should be like. She doesn't want to do the stupid dance. Planners get taken. She has to do the stupid dance. Day is saved. With the help of Hallucination Sprig. Which... yeah, Hallucination Sprig is awesome. But yeah, this was a fun... I guess I can start off the Actually, I'll get everyone's thoughts first before I start about what we thought this episode was going to be. I guess my thoughts on this episode was it was okay. I like there was some carryover about Anne's guilt on the planners coming along for the trip, and I guess Anne kind of learns here just not to be like embarrassed of herself doing like the dance, which is an okay lesson. But I just what I really liked about this episode were like this what was the actual like animation was super fluid, and like I'm looking at the credits right now. This was Inbal Bretta's first this was the first segment she worked on for Amphibia. Like before this, she was on Owl House season 1. And like she was like, as we'll see later on this season, she was like such a great addition to the crew because her boards are really great.
Well, that explains all the great expressions then, because
And the fluid motions.
yeah, hands down, yeah. It explains a lot about this episode. I feel like is it cool if you go into my thoughts or something? You fine with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. It's just I'm kind of with you there. Like, there's not like a lot of substance to this episode. There's not a lot to analyze, not a lot to say about. But I still really enjoyed it because it's just I think it was just meant to be a funny episode with a lot of fun expressions, and that's what they did here. And I feel like just with that idea, it's what it really makes Ann Hunter a great episode to me. But honestly, there's not a lot of take apart here. But yeah, it's a fun it's a fun it's a fun step towards their journey to Natopia, I guess. Like I think that's the best way for me to put it.
All right, thank you, Nick. Pickle, what were your thoughts on the segment?
For surface level wise, I think it's very what the hell in a fun cartoon way. Like I enjoyed watching Anne do stupid stuff. It's the sort of thing that you wouldn't want to watch while your parents were walking by, not because it's like actually dirty, but like it just feels weird and wrong somehow. In a fun way.
Thank you, Pickle. And yeah, I get what you mean,
Oh, but
especially with later on.
yeah, but it also I feel like this is one of my more out there kind of theories, but there's things about the
Hallucination
hallucination
Sprig.
sprig that for a long time a lot of people thought that was gonna be Anne's powers manifesting. And although it's like we've seen a lot of her powers in action now and looks more as just like brute force Super Saiyan upgrade, it's not like deconfirmed that that couldn't be her powers.
Yeah, I think like yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I think we'll leave that. We'll leave that for later because I have a couple of ideas. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I think that was a really interesting thing for the crew to do, knowing where they would take Anne later on. Sunsfury, what were your thoughts?
Uh, Anne Hunter's kind of an oddball for sure. There are some part of it that I just like because they're dumb, amusing. There are other parts where I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm, I am far more amused than I should be about the fact that we get Anne bashing her head against a tree. Uh, so I'm not sure how incredibly useful my opinion is sometimes on this, but it's all right. It's all right. I'll give it that.
All right, thank you, Sunsfury. Lemur, what are your thoughts?
It's I like it better. I like it a lot more than Ballad. That's all I can say.
All right, thank you, Lemur. But
That's a good opinion. Good take. I support that take.
yeah, so this episode, yeah, it starts off with the food joke, and was this at the same time where that random meme with like the serving dish where it's like, I hope you're hungry for nothing? Like, did that take off at the same time as this like joke, like when this episode premiered?
I I think so. It's been a while. It's been like, oh my god, it's been 2. It's gonna be 2 years. Good grief.
But I guess like before I get into like all like the minor details, so before before we got to this episode, the trailers made this seem like the trailer showed like Anne in the hunter's outfit and like the glowing blue arrow, and we all thought, oh, this is like Anne Hunter's gonna be a serious episode. And then Matt posted his poster for this, and it's like Anne like bloody, like ready for battle. We're like, oh man, this episode's gonna be like insane. And then we get this episode of Anne. We get the flash. We get the her imagination, her dream sequence before before we get to Sprig like shaking his butt in the air with the planner dance.
Oh, that sounds hilarious. That
Which
sounds
like
hilarious.
A plus for like subversion.
It was, yeah.
Matt successfully trolled his audience. Gotta give him props for that.
He's just asserting his dominance towards his audience.
Yes, because we held like I remember like we held that like those moments of like Anne with like the like looking back, the giant like cooked chicken kind of should have been the hint that maybe this wasn't like actually real, but like because it's a cartoon, maybe you thought like whatever Anne like whatever Anne fought against was like conveniently like baked by the end. But yeah, like we held that scene in high regard, and it was a dream sequence. We were
I feel like,
bamboozled.
they know exactly what they're trying to do.
I wish I was there for that meltdown. I wish I was there to see the chaos. Like, Tom, was there chaos?
Yeah,
After that happens?
yeah.
That just sounds hilarious. That sounds hilarious. Yeah. I didn't expect them to go for a serious episode as soon as I saw, like, you know what I mean? When I saw, like, context in the trailer, I was like, eh. You know what I mean? I found it to be a little suspicious.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
man.
that aside, we get to the episode. They're looking for food, and yeah, I'm glad like the players were the players weren't. It's weird how Hop Hop played this all out, where it's like, oh man, we're out of food, like. But then immediately when Anne gets worried, then they just laugh it off. Like Hop Hop was just trolling Anne this entire time.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Yeah, I didn't realize. What the fuck was that? Why did they do that? Like, damn.
It's like, Anne, we're not taking this journey for you. We're taking this with you, but let us like mess with you every single step of the way.
Hey man, they're family now. They can mess with each other, alright? That's just what families do.
What the hell? Like, he completely freaks her out, and then he's like, "What? What are you worried about?" Huh? Like slapping his knee, like Hop Hop.
And then like there's just Polly and like just Polly like snacking on cookies.
Yeah, that was great too. Polly being a little devil, that's always great.
How long were those there?
Probably for about 2 weeks. Oh, I think Lemur, you got cut off, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
when Hoppa mentioned that the journey's taking longer than expected,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
expected to be like a month, right?
no, back in the Handy End, he mentioned it was about like a
Or
2 week
2 weeks.
journey,
Oh yeah, 2 week journey because it's nonstop. But now, yeah,
which
Yeah, I think it ended up being double that time by the end.
which makes sense. Like they thought it was 2 weeks, and then we had like 2 weeks went by for us, and then they didn't get there yet, which is convenient for us because we got more journey.
I'm telling you, that was one of the coolest things about 2A. You know, I feel like this was the first half of 2A was paced perfectly with a weekly format. Like you really felt each step of the journey there. When we finally got to Utopia, I mean, god damn. Definitely top 3 or 4 of the hypest moments of the entire show, but we're not talking about Marcy the Gates right now. We're talking about Anne.
only I can talk about Marcy and the Gates, alright?
Well, once we get to that episode,
yeah.
but
Marcy at the Gates episodes just gotta be Lemur only.
nah, then that'd be too long. But
Bruh, come on.
But-
Trump's gonna have to edit down a 6-hour podcast episode.
anyways, back to Anne Hunter. Yes, I like how Anne's motivation she wants to provide, and even in her like dream sequence, like even in the dream sequence, like they have Hop Hop at the end say something like "I'm dying" before she drops in the giant chicken. Just so like just to be extra dramatic about the just to be extra dramatic effect.
That's seasonal. As expected from an actor.
And I like how when Sprig's explaining when Sprig's explaining their way of hunting, I think Anne brought up like what was the weapon? A kunai? I ran out trying to Google what that is because I think we see that later on.
She's like, what did she say? She was like a kunai. Then she's like, What, like a rocket that shoots kunai or something?
A
Like,
crossbow that shoots kunai.
oh yeah, that was it.
Oh, it's the I'm gonna post in the chat. Like, damn, man. Like, why? uh, it's like a dagger, like a throwing dagger looking thing. Oh, okay.
First, I thought it was like Raphael's weapon
Oh,
from TMNT, but then I remember it was size.
yeah, those are size.
Yeah. This is from Naruto.
And people say she hasn't written her age.
True. And then I like Sprig's weapons are for barbarians, but I guess he doesn't see a slingshot as like a weapon then, or maybe just for hunting.
Sprig's just a hypocrite.
Or maybe just in regard for hunting, maybe he doesn't use weapons. But if it's for other people, then yeah, he'll.
Yeah, like
No
wow.
problems.
Okay, yeah, Sprig is like no,
Hunting with weapons.
it's not okay to use weapons and except for killing other people. Yeah, only then it's good.
Yeah, but okay, I'll admit those grubbles look kind of tasty. I know they're based on like an actual like
Actual food.
yeah, it's based on like some kind of like actual like dish or something, but
I forgot the
Eclairs,
name
I
of that
think.
thing.
I think they're eclairs.
Claire's?
Pastries usually
Oh
with
yeah,
chocolate or some other thing on the top.
yeah. Yeah, these
Oh, okay, yeah,
things.
I'm looking at the picture now. Eclairs with an E.
Eclairs. Shoot.
Yeah, like the frosting on top just makes it like extra.
It's cool. Yeah, it's creamy.
And they're quite big too. Like they look like they could feed a family. I'm surprised like these things haven't gone extinct in Amphibia with like how many creatures are out there, which we eventually see like the Scorpileo, but
Only the toads can get those.
but I guess
Yes.
before we get to that, we have Sprig shows the planner dance that's designed to uh I'm just looking over the scene again. It's I get what Pickle meant when they said it's kind of I wouldn't want anyone walking in on this because just
It's kind of funny.
like if I went to my friends and was like, "Yo, guys, like there's this show with like amazing character development and like this the story progression's amazing, the humor, the action is all on point. Like this is one of the best shows that Disney TVA has offered in the last like 2 decades. Like trust me, man. Just take a look at this." And then just kind of Spring just like doing this like it's not the best pitch, but
Just trust me, bro.
Bro, that frame is so much, man.
the dance designed to entice and disorient, and I was definitely like disoriented by the end.
They were on point with that description.
They sure were.
They sure were. That's so fun. Oh, good.
Yeah, so they go off. We get that. I feel like we've seen that cliff joke before with like Anne about to step off a cliff. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just thinking about this episode again, but
Wasn't that in like the camping one? Or there was something with that, I think.
I'm not entirely sure. I know for the camping. I know for Anne versus Wild. Yeah, like her sleeping bag like went down the hill and went off the cliff. I want to say it was something from Best Franz, but like I can't. I'm not sure about it, but I don't know. When I do like the inevitable like series rewatch, maybe that's something maybe it's something I'll like suddenly, spontaneously remember. But yeah, we get they go their separate ways and gathered up a bunch of I was gonna say eclairs, but the grubbles. The planners get kidnapped by the Scorpio, which is a really like cool
It's a
design.
killer design.
And okay, this is what really okay. Anne walks like Anne is holding a stick and she like runs out to find the planners, and that just reminds me of Anne or Beast, just like because that's how we like were first introduced to Anne. So like when I saw that for the first, when, not for the first time, when I was rewatching this a few days ago, like that was like my mind immediately went to Anne or Beast.
Yeah, I think the stick. It's the stick for me because she gets a stick sharpens it into a spear. That's one of the things that got me because she's running around with one of those, a makeshift spear, right at the beginning as well. Or is that later on?
No, that's
Yeah,
the same
yes,
point.
she
That's right.
does.
Yeah.
So she cuts Sprig down.
Like yeah, the very first introduction to Anne was like her like coming out of the bushes with like that crazed look in her eye and holding the stick.
You're not going to eat me. Hmm.
Yeah, so planners get taken. Polly's concerned about her biscuits, but yeah, then eventually Anne's Anne thinks she can like follow the trail, but then she has no idea what she's doing. Oh, like yeah, the path like splits into three, and that's when the best character in the series appears.
Yes.
Mind if we quickly before we get into that go back to the Scorpio?
Oh yeah, sure thing.
Because I think I'm not sure if it's I don't think I wouldn't call it foreshadowing. I feel like that's too far to say for just a creature that we don't have any actual confirmation of. But it's like one of the only mammals we see. I mean, I guess on the terms of non-bugs and non-amphibians, we also see the herons and other birds. But in terms of mammals, I think that's the only one. And a lot of people have been wondering, at least I have, and I've seen other people talk about it too, if maybe like some of those creatures, especially the Scorpio, could be things that got brought over from Andreas, like invasive species that might have inbred and stuff. Because it's so very different from a lot of the stuff we see. And it has bug characteristics, but it also has like lion stuff, or it looks more like a wolf, but it has Leo in the name.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting idea. Like I know we had in terms of like mammal monsters, we had um the kind of ferret weasel thing from Snow Day, and then I think that's all I can think of, other than maybe like a gag with a skunk from like a Night at the Inn. But I'm sure that was just mostly that wasn't a hybrid like this thing was.
Are the hedgehog things mammals? I don't know if hedgehogs are mammals.
Hedgehogs are mammals, but like you said, like those were all basically just like creatures we're familiar with, just like sized up. But yeah, like this one is just a weird looking thing. Hmm. I mean, it's not like it's something that like what we've seen Utopia do worse. Like we have the core of all things. I mean, at that point, there's really no like moral boundary in terms in the field of science for them. But yeah, we had the Scorpio. We get this later on, but Anne just makes like the horoscope joke. Uh, Hallucination Sprig arrives to save Anne from
Yes.
her insanity. I know Pickle, you wanted to bring up earlier about like what, yeah, like so the crew knew what they were doing with all this like blue imagery and all this like blue freaky power stuff. And I mean, I definitely wouldn't rule this out yet.
Oh, I feel a little bit like a conspiracy theorist going from one crackpot theory to another. But yeah, I mean, I know I saw a lot of theorizing about, blue powers, especially when we got more info tied to Heart, and a lot of that about being her like determination and desperation to find and rescue her family, or her frog family. And I don't think we can rule it out, because although we have seen the big manifestation of her powers being the giant like explosion of electricity and the whole new form, we haven't really gotten the details, and I think it'd be cool if there was more than just, on or off. Maybe there's like sort of passive powers, like that come when she needs them, the same way they do with the powers we've seen.
For sure, yeah. I really like the idea that whatever Anne is tapping into can be more than just like brute strength. So it kind of gives like the gems a little bit more of a. They're more than just like a random power up. It's like their power can work in like other ways, which I prefer.
Yeah, because we just have to assume that there is a way to distinguish them, because it would be weird for like strength. You know what I mean? Like it'd be weird for like there to be a strength gem, but then like the rest of the gem users all technically have super strength as well. There needs to be distinguishing factors here.
And at least in Anne's case, we've seen how like in True Colors, like Sprig in danger is what like triggered them in the first place. So it's nice to see that maybe in this case it was like her powers like when she was missing Sprig like the powers like manifested Sprig
Yeah.
in its own way. Sprig's a Chad, whether or not he is a hallucination. The best
They also
friend.
did use that exact. They used that exact like blue glow, same exact color as the powers, I think.
Yeah, and they also that same blue also shows up in Anne's dreaming earlier on when she's dreaming about being a hunter and hunting down the great chicken. That's the arrow glows blue. There's a big old blue explosion, and it's the right shade.
Yeah, the crew knows what they're doing. It's just like whether or not it's gonna it's gonna pay
I
off.
know, like imagine this up. I don't know. I would be so happy if this turned out to be an episode with like, because it's sort of like Quarler's Pass. We're like we have own like this Quarler's Pass is one of the episodes that like people can just write off, right? But then that one has own. So now there's some kind of weird thing going on with them. Imagine if this episode actually does connect back to her powers like that. That would be insane, but I would welcome it.
And even though it is insane, it wouldn't be insane because like if they do confirm it, then we can just look at this and go like, yeah, that just it doesn't break any like rules. These are magic
It'd be
gems.
it'd be a really cool way to distinguish her powers, because like I swear Hallucination Sprig knew a little too like I knew a little too much if they were just like a figment of Anne's imagination, especially if she wasn't paying attention to Sprig the whole time.
Yeah, it's just there's more. There can be more to this segment if the show chooses to like if the show chooses to like connect those dots, and it should. we we love it. We'd love for the show to do that, but we'll see. Yeah, so Anne follows the scent. We get that quick montage of. I guess this is where where Inbal Bretta's like her boards like become very like clear to like spot out, or maybe I can't tell, but like just the motion of Anne like swinging through the trees and then eventually like the dance scene. It's all very fluid. And even at the time when the
I do
episode was
feel like
airing,
whenever
oh, go ahead, Pickle.
I feel like whenever there's a lot of great work that Invalbretta has done. Whenever I'm like, wow, this is some exceptional animation for Amphibia, and I go check the boards, like half the time it's in Valbretta.
Yeah, and later after this segment, I'll go and look at Cassie's boards too and see which part she did because I'm sure like credit to her too. Like I don't want to just like keep showering praise on in Balbretta. But yeah, but I know she came from the Owl House. And I know her boards there were like also solid, so it was a nice. I'm glad Frog Show grabbed her at the right time. But yeah, we get that montage song that I'm not gonna say the lyrics. It's just they were fun lyrics, and eventually cuts to, like Sprig singing it. uh,
Yeah, that was a really fun scene.
and then like Anne, yeah, eventually Anne eats the dirt, and then but like Anne does all of that, and then when Sprig tells her to do the dance, she's like still super hesitant.
Yeah, I mean, she literally swallowed like a huge mouthful of dirt. I mean, like,
Yeah,
is
like
that really
what
supposed
else
to
does she
be
have left?
realistic? Yeah, her dignity, like, she lost that a long time ago. Now.
Yeah, so she does like the plot, like she does the ski, and then I like how her dance, like she just does that weird shuffle thing, which is kind of like relatable.
Yeah,
That's probably something I would do on a dance floor. And then yeah, the Scorpio just like doesn't care, and then eventually she does the dance. I kind of again, this is where like all the fluid like animation kind of like it's so like spread or like what Sprig said earlier. This dance is like designed to like entice and disorient. It's like the animation's so fluid, but like the motions are so weird. It just it's just I'm just left with this feeling of like okay, it's great, but like I'm still weirded out.
it's a shot
Yeah.
of like Anne slamming her head onto the tree of the music.
It's very odd.
And then
Very successfully odd.
right, and then we get that like super like we get the close up and the lightning in the background, and then just immediately cuts to her like flopping like a fish.
All the shots are so great.
Yeah.
I'm replaying some of this. It's pretty yeah like I'm still speechless. Oh, then of course we get like hallucination Sprig's like reactions. Like earlier when he turns into the Scorpio, and then here with like his like the uncomfortable like close up with the purple eyes and the lashes. I don't know why that kind of freaks me out.
hmm
Oh, and then very briefly when the Scorpio is distracted by Anne, like even Sprig, like actual Sprig, is like shocked by Anne doing the dance, but it's kind of brief. I'm trying to get a screenshot of it. Like I don't know why it kind of looks like off model for Sprig, but maybe that's why I was like so like why I was able to like remember it so much. But who knows? But yeah, we covered they trap the she traps the Scorpio. They come back, and we get that brief scene of like Bessie thinking that the whole family's dead. Or I don't know, but it just her face looked like she was thinking maybe they'll never come back. But I don't know why. It was so cute to see her like super happy when they came.
Poor Bessie.
I really did like that one cute moment though, where like, where was it? I know it was like that. It was Hallucis Sprig trying to tell her to. Oh yeah. I think it was where Anne didn't want to do the hunter dance, right? And then like, wait, no, no, Anne didn't want to swallow the dirt. Yeah, that. Wait, I can't remember what, but you guys know what I mean? It was that one scene where like, and where Anne like accepts that she has to do something that she doesn't want to. That she's like, just because I like you guys a lot. Like I just thought that was really cute.
Yeah, I remember that. It was good.
Wholesome Plantar moment.
So many wholesome planner moments like for this journey, because like they all have to stick together. Like a lot of these segments is they gotta stick together, and then if they're not together, it's like where are they? So like that's like the number one priority for them. So like it just kind of, it's nice to see them like go on this trip together, and like they're on this journey together. They're not separating. Well, actually, in this case, they do separate at like the beginning of the episode and then come back at the end. But at least we have like more segments of them like after this one of them like being together.
Yeah, like the whole journey to Utopia was seriously just like, you know, they were pretty much stuck together pretty much every episode. I know there were episodes where like some characters obviously had like bigger roles than others, but like there was always just a general feeling of them all just being stuck together and just the show thriving off their dynamic, I guess.
Right, and I guess because even though like looking at like the next few episodes, like a lot of them have the planner split up, but I think what makes it work is that like part of like one of the goals of the episode is like getting back together by the end. Like that's like a clear goal for them. Like Truck Stop Polly, they gotta find Polly. Caravan named Desire, they're all on the same train, and then like eventually they have to like leave together by the end. Coiler's Pass, they have to split up, and then Polly and Sprig have to like sort out their issues and then eventually get back together again, just so they can properly reintegrate with the family because they were so annoying. Yeah, I'm probably getting too far into the future episodes, but yeah, like there's always this sense of even though they're apart, there's still like a goal of getting back together. And then like this episode ends with like Anne talking to Hallucination Sprig, which apparently was still. I'm curious like how long how much time she had with like both like regular Sprig and Hallucination Sprig.
So I think you can chalk up with that for like a good few minutes because we don't know. I mean, we don't know how long it took for Anne to fly into plant. Maybe it could take like an hour at most.
I mean, I'm just thinking like imagine like, I mean, one Sprig is already great, but like having two Sprigs, that's like
Two sprigs are terrible.
you. I was gonna say you're set for life, but then now that I think about it, like two Sprigs, that's like you have like a yin and a yang, but they're both like chaos.
Yeah, that would honestly, yeah, that would, yeah,
It's like
honestly, that would be really bad.
balanced
Someone needs to
chaos.
go write that fan fiction.
Hallucination Sprig meeting like real Sprig.
Well, I mean, he's a hallucination, so no one would be able to see him except Anne. They'd probably all think she'd gone mad.
Oh man, so
Yeah.
it's just like
She
20.
kind of did.
It's like 20 chapters of like Anne arguing with Hallucination Sprig and normal Sprig.
It's not like there's like, is there a difference between hallucination and real sprig? Because they're the same character, right?
Pretty much. Well, maybe hallucination Sprig is just what Anne sees Sprig as,
Mm.
unless the gem powers are like more than that. But I guess yeah, that was pretty much Anne Hunter. Uh, I guess we can cover the Frobo segment. The Frobo
Segments.
after not after credits. Stinger. The Frobo stingers, and what's interesting is that how they only do it for this episode, where like for both segments, they want to heavily emphasize the fact that like Frobo's following them, and then they kind of lay off of it until episode 7.
Yes.
But I remember
Lost in Utopia. Is it? Wait, no, it's Scavenger Hunt. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Scavenger Hunt.
Well, do you know that they 100% plan the airing order for at least the episodes that don't really need to be exactly before or after something? It's possible they just might have switched a couple segments. That might have just been where they had time for the.
I do
the
think
scene.
because I know Matt's mentioned in an interview like season 2 was a lot more like chronological than season 1 when they were planning it. Because I know, like in season 1, like Grubhog Day was the first episode they wrote, but then eventually it was like pushed to episode 12. But that wasn't really the case in season 2, with the exception of Night Drivers. But maybe I'm sure they write these episodes at like different points, but know which episode goes when. But yeah, like the Frobo scenes, like that always confused me because at the time when we got this episode, I thought, okay, maybe they're going to have this in every episode of like Frobo slowly following them, but then they kind of like they did it
Stop.
yeah, not even stop, like they didn't really even start. They just showed this like they showed 2 segments, even though like one segment probably could have like showed the same point, but instead of like
One thing
moving
that
this.
might
Oh, go ahead, Sunsfury.
Oh yeah. With regards to that, we do actively see Frobo run into trees consecutively in the Anne Hunter one. So that can kind of be seen as this is going to take literally forever and a year, so don't expect it to not take forever. Like, it's going to take a long time. This is a fair way away, I suppose. I'm not
Maybe.
sure.
And I kind of thought that like him hitting the tree was supposed to show that maybe he's not really a threat, and like he'd be used like in another way, because like he's not that he wasn't that like not intelligent, he is, but it kind of helps like tease that like Polly saw Frobo as just a baby kind of.
Yeah.
Experience. Yeah, it's inexperience. It's inexperienced. Yeah, experience. Plus, like, yeah, it's going to take a while, and it's also going to say, yeah, this is probably going to take a while before it actually kicks off. So, yeah, don't hold your breath, like what Sunsfury said.
And yeah, I used to think like, oh, they hardly showed Frobo, but then now looking back, we had him in Fort in the Road. We had him in this episode. We get him again in Scavenger Hunt.
Yeah, and then Night Drivers.
And then Night Driver. So it's not. I think
That was a funny little thing.
the biggest gap was probably
I
between.
think they foreshadowed him a lot and didn't like have him be present as much as they foreshadowed him.
Well, I think what. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it in the podcast before, but I think the point of Frobo, like showing him here, was to make True Colors less. Was to make the transition to like what happens in True Colors like more believable or less like jarring. Like if we went from Fort in the Road to Friend or Frobo with like a little bit, maybe one scene in this episode, it would still work, but at least like having him like giving him more prominent exposure, like just the exposure of Frobo made robots in this world more believable, even if he didn't end up like doing something like just his
Yeah,
the point of his character
like,
was his presence, I guess. That's what I'm trying to justify it as.
yeah, I kind of catch your
I mean,
drift.
go ahead. Oh, yeah, you can go ahead.
I agree. I agree. I think that just the constant exposure to the concept of Frobo is how we go, okay, yep, that checks out when True Colors comes along and says, alright, now you've seen one, here's a million. And we go, okay, well, I guess I've seen one, so a million makes sense. I kind of agree with that whole argument.
And we still get that in Friend or Frobo, but I guess just like those like little appearances help like kind of build us to the eventual like reveal. And maybe we thought at the time that like Friend or Frobo was like the big reveal, but then no, it was like True Colors all along.
Well, they kind
Yeah,
of both are, really.
yeah.
I
Okay,
mean,
because
I'm sorry, but I gotta be the little new dogs in Frobo. I'm gonna dog in Frobo. Like, I hear what you guys are saying, but like, we literally have the computer. We have like the giant robot computer there asking for instructions right there. Like we already got the sense of like of there being a huge sci-fi aspect to Amphibia, and I just feel like I don't know. Maybe this is me just being cynical of the crew, but I feel like Frobo to them was such a cool concept that they just couldn't help themselves but just give him so many cool stingers. And then, like, when we finally get to Frobo and 2B, you know, they're like, goddamn, like, what do we do with him now? Like, that's generally the feeling I like. They made him too cool. I think I would have been fine with him just being like. I was going to call him Polly's pet, but I should not be saying that. I guess like
Whoa.
Polly's. Let's just call him Polly's little brother. I was going to call him Polly's pet, but like, yeah, I would have been fine with Frobo just being Polly's pet if he just didn't get all this. If he just didn't have this like mysterious and ominous aura to him, you know, I mean, because that's the feeling I got from a lot of his stingers. I mean, they'd have like this. I don't even know how to describe the music. You guys would know what I mean. They'd
Yeah.
have this sort of like dramatic tune playing every time we saw Frobo, and so like. It just gave this big presence to him, and just to see him like finally be here, then practically disappear for the rest of 2B until his depth scene in True Colors. I mean, it just like I don't know. It doesn't feel like it was sort of worth the hype that he got. Even so, yeah, I do understand like how he was helpful in these ways, like getting us used to the sci-fi elements and Amphibia, but like I don't know. I mean, we already saw like. The core, like we saw the core in like the first template. It was the first template before. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so we saw like I don't know because yeah, we saw the core, right? Like we saw all of that like sci-fi bullshit that Andrews was hiding. So like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to like.
No, it's fine.
I'll be nice. I'll be nice in the front. I'll be like, yeah. But no, I definitely see where you guys come from, and I do agree with you guys because like. We already saw how like powerful one Frobo could be, and so just the idea of like millions charging towards a group, yeah, that definitely did help with how terrifying it felt.
I think Frobo as a way to like introduce Frobo's like overall like Andrews's army. It is like the episode where he gets made kind of shows us the factories, and then him being in action gets the idea of him being a warbot, and then it's like, oh, of course, all those things are for Andreas. What I don't like about Frobo is that it feels like they didn't write much more of him than to be a tool to introduce the Frobots. Like I feel like he needed a little bit more time as himself, like to be there and be Frobo instead of just a Frobo.
Yeah,
I was gonna say something, but never mind. Okay, let's continue.
but you just then why did you tell us?
No, because I was gonna say it because, but then it really stupid. I might as well not.
Okay, but yeah, like Cloakbot, I think, when he showed up, a lot of people like connected with him more than they did with Frobo, which was, I mean, yeah, like Frobo, like I like Frobo though.
I'm like, I have an odd relationship with Frobo where like I feel like dogging on him, but like he's had good moments. He's had good moments with Polly, like fixing Frobo. That's like one of my favorite episodes of 3A. So like, I've forgiven him a little bit for being. I was about to call him a disappointment, but like, I won't go that far.
Like
he's
I
like
feel like
he's like a son I disown. I'm like so
Frobo's.
close to disowning him.
Oh, sorry, Nick. Like Frobo is like, you know that joke where like the masked figure, everyone's like obsessed with it, obsessed with them, but then once they take the mask off, then all of a sudden they lose all of their appeal. That's kind of like Frobo in this case.
yeah, yeah. Like he still has like a functional purpose to the narrative. Like I'd say, but like it's just I think they just went too hard on the hype. I can forgive Frobo for what he is now because I think he does really help with Polly's character, and that's where like honestly all my appreciation for him comes from. But like, yeah, they probably should not have hyped him up the way they did. That's I think that's my final say on him.
I just wish he had more like character moments rather than just being a tool to the plot or to other characters.
see, okay, but like, would would showing him too much make him special though? That's the thing. Because I was gonna like if the show present Frobo a little too much, then it would probably make him like a special Frobo when we said that he's just, he's a tool to introduce like, oh, there's more Frobos out there. So if we introduce if the show presents Frobo a lot more, would that make all the other Frobos a little more less? I'm not making sense.
I kind of get what you mean. Like if we saw Frobo more, then once the Frobot army shows up, would it be less like
impactful?
I don't think so, because like we got, I don't know. I feel like this is like a talk we can have for like another Frobo appearance, but I guess since we're pretty much done Hunter, we've covered Ballad of Hopediah Plantar, we covered Frobo. I think we can get into the season 3 episode titles we got. So basically, what happened was the Cable Forum, which is like a forum, and someone with insider knowledge posts like the premieres of every month, like a few weeks before Disney rolls out their official their official version of it with like episode descriptions. And this is where we got the news that like Amphibia and the Owl House are returning. And eventually at the same time, and then eventually Matt and Dana both confirmed it themselves as well on Twitter. And I'm surprised they were allowed to do that. I'm guessing like they probably got the green light for this, and yeah, it was didn't take that long, because
it was 4 months,
right? And even I kind of don't consider December the month of a hiatus, because it's already kind of busy, and everyone kind of expects no one expects episodes to show up there already because of the holidays. So I kind of just like write that month off as just like I got to do all this other stuff, but so I just see it as like January and then like February and then we're getting Amphibia
in March.
Yeah,
man,
March.
I feel like this is like a compensation. This is like the shortest hiatus we ever got it on the show.
Yeah, it feels like the hiatuses have only gotten shorter.
And I think this is just a compensation for the year-long hiatus that the show got between season 1 and 2.
I don't know how much of that is that though. This might be wrong, but it's true that someone, I think Matt, mentioned ratings,
Yes.
or maybe it was yeah.
Yeah, it was
So I
bad.
think it might be Disney wants to pull out
More
something like
episodes.
Amphibia, and I know Big
Yeah.
City Greens gets a lot of views too.
And also, like, Big City Greens has like the 30 episode order, so they have like episodes like in the bank for Big City Greens. I know back in October, the Hugan brothers mentioned, or I probably didn't say that right, but they mentioned that only Squashed, like the Halloween special, was ready at the time, and like Disney wanted to get it out on Halloween. So it's like Disney, or maybe not Disney, maybe Disney TVA, like they know when to prioritize what. And looking back, it's kind of interesting how well like season 3A matched up with the holidays, because they wouldn't be able to air Froggy Little Christmas like really at any other time if they want to maximize the impact. But at the same time, like that was a holiday episode that was like very like very like it was very serial. Am I saying right? Serialized with the rest of the show. So like they had to get like the rest of season 3A out around the same point as Christmas, basically. So I guess the timing worked out well for Amphibia, but now just like 3B. I kind of thought because 3A came back so quickly, like the 3B hiatus would be
Would be a
longer.
lot longer.
But yeah, it was even shorter. But
but we do have a theory about that, right?
about what?
About why? Because Leon is Big City Greens is coming back, right? And it's only coming back for like it's coming back in February and it's coming back in March too. But on that cable listings, we saw Big City Greens only having 2 new episodes in that month, which makes this season, which makes the new episodes we got from Big City Greens as 5. I guess it's also similar for Molly. So it could potentially, we could also get 5 episodes of Amphibia this month alongside Owl House, and we're going to wait for like a short period of time before we get the last 5 episodes too, or 6. 6, yes.
Honestly, I'd like that.
Yeah, I'd prefer that too.
It spaced out the ending a bit.
Yeah.
One more time to process things too. Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Mm-hmm. It's like if they're gonna end Amphibia now, it's gonna feel like, oh, what the heck? This is too early. Like we're not ready. So I guess spacing out, this last half of the season with more BCG and Molly, and between them would be, I guess, it would make the show last a little longer, and makes us, give us time to prepare for the inevitable conclusion.
Yep. And so then I guess we can like talk about the episode titles.
Yeah.
March 19th is Escape to Amphibia. And just the idea that they have to escape to where they came from. And then in Anne's case, like the world that she was like accidentally teleported to in the first place, she has to get to there because somehow Earth is, whatever's happening on Earth makes them. What I'm trying to say is that the title's weird. And I guess I know everyone wants to get their thoughts out on this. I guess Pickle, how are you? How are you feeling about this?
I feel like you chose the worst person to start because honestly, I'm still a little bit brain empty on these. I guess that there's some kind of obvious stuff going on with Sprivy. I'm glad to see it because I think not only is Ivy an underrated character, but like who doesn't want to see some cute Sprig and Ivy stuff going on? Although I am also interested to see what kind of actual, like, maybe less, cutesy and wholesome stuff that could be in more like, I mean, he's been gone for a while, and that's probably going to affect their relationship, not just from, like, not being able to see each other, but also from, like, the danger of they could lose each other at any time, sort of, in this sort of environment. And also, Return to Amphibia has a lot of big implications. Obviously, returning to Amphibia. And most people are a little bit like, when are they going to return? Because it was confirmed that they will spend a chunk of season 3 in Amphibia, but everyone was like, what does that mean? Is it going to be 5 episodes? Is it going to be 15? I had predicted that it was gonna that it was gonna come back around now, and I'm glad I was right. Honestly, I like being right, but it also does open up a lot of interesting stuff. Like, how are they gonna get back from where we're at? I mean, an episode ago, our closest thing to a lead was some scientist saying, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." I guess jumping from that to like being back is gonna be quite the thing, and I want to open up the floor to other people too.
All right, thank you, Pickle. Sunsfury, thoughts on Escape to Amphibia?
So, gosh, something is going to go down. Because you don't just say escape without meaning escape. To me, I'm getting big. Andreas is stepping up his game very quickly. Anybody who was worried about him being ever so slightly more than just ever so slightly slower than he could have been is probably going to be very happy, because you don't escape from a situation you're good in, or happy in, or fine in, which ostensibly everybody on the side is generally fine. Up to a point in a manner of speaking, of course, but close enough to be good. So, yeah, that'll be very exciting and potentially very high tension. We shall see.
All right, thank you, Sunsfury. Lemur, how are you feeling about this title?
Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts about
Oh,
this
okay,
because
wait, Lemur, just like brief thoughts.
so we can explain it. All right. I, I have I have no idea how this episode is gonna go down because, well, there's a lot of loose ends in our adventures on Earth. Like we still have to deal with Sasha and Aunt Marcy's parents. Coming from Froggy Little Christmas, I don't know if they're going to deal with that yet. Hopefully they would. Plus, they're gonna probably say goodbye with their crew. You know, saying goodbye to the parents, to Dr. Jan, Terry, the IT guy. He's very sad. I mean, if that was the episode alone, that would be fine. But the fact that the episode is called "Escape to Amphibia," that would mean something bad is gonna happen. And so, what my biggest like the biggest thought I have is that how are they going to pace this? Like, how are they going to structure this episode? And I guess we could talk about that a little bit later once we've, I guess, dive in about this. All right, that's all I got right now. Without diving deep into it.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Nick, how are you? What are the clouds saying?
Like, are we talking just for Escape to Amphibia or the other ones too?
I guess since I started with Escape to Amphibia, we can just
Okay.
talk about it for now.
I'll just go for. Well, I mean, I think it obviously gives the idea that like whatever's going on Earth, they need to, they need to escape from it. They need to get away from it. So it's something's really going to shake up the status quo they've managed to achieve there. So, I mean, just with what's going on this season, it could be like multiple things, I guess. Like, Mr. X. Like maybe this is Mr. X's like last desperate attempt to capture the planters, or maybe this is finally the start of the invasion. They need to get out and get away from Earth because they're just not ready yet to fight it. Or it could be like, and I don't know. Like I think this is. I've heard like an interesting one where someone suggested that maybe she's trying to avoid a confrontation of Sasha and Marcy's parents by like by basically focusing on just the goal to get to Amphibia. So like I don't know. There's just lots of potential here with that title. So but those are basically my thoughts.
All right, thank you, Nick. And yeah, I think like Froggy Little Christmas. I talked about how like Froggy Little Christmas was like a decent mid-season finale, and now like thinking about it more, I feel like whatever past mid-season finales we've got, such as Toe Tax, Prison Break, Sleepover to End All Sleepovers, Day at the Aquarium,
and Aquarium.
they both had this kind of like they had a wrap up and a setup. So like in Toe Tax and Prison Break, it's not as clear when it's kind of like wrapping up and being at least Anne is at least accepted by the town, and then the setup was her like having to now be a protector, and then also the setup was introducing Sasha in Prison Break. Season 2, we had Sleepover End All Sleepovers. That was kind of like the setup with all like the little lore bits we got. And then also like Anne saying goodbye to Newtopia, like the planet saying goodbye to Newtopia. That was like the wrap up. And then also
plus the proposition.
And plus the proposition was also like would be considered something set up. Froggy Little Christmas, even though it was like a holiday special, it kind of had more setup, but not it had setup, but not a lot of wrap up of like their time on Earth. And I feel like that's where I think that's what Escape to Amphibia is going to have that Froggy Little Christmas didn't. That would have made it like the ideal mid-season finale. But then of course, like since it's called Escape to Amphibia, it's also going to be like a really good mid-season premiere, which I'm excited for. And
man, those assholes were really planning on like having a cliffhanger of them getting to Amphibia and then like making his way down the man.
Plus, I do believe that there's going to be a lot of wrap ups in this episode too. Like I said, with the whole Earth thing.
Not sure if I should be disappointed or relieved that we didn't get the cliffhanger ending on season 3.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see once we get there. But
honestly, it's like. All right, go ahead.
I mean, I do have to say, I know one of Matt's I know one of the major points that Matt mentioned for the season before it started was just the idea of Anne really coming to understand her parents and respect them in a new way, and I feel like that's what Froggy Little Christmas offered in that little scene between her and between her and her mom on like the what do we call it?
On the parade.
The parade float. Yeah, the parade float. Yeah. And so, like, I think we can say that's wrapped up because I know they're sort of on like the equal, they're sort of on the same page. Though I'd say, like Anna's found a way that she can relate to her mom and like in a way that she never thought she ever would have before. So there's that. I mean, honestly, I guess that's like really the only wrap up they have this season. I mean, I actually, yeah, honestly, okay, yeah, I guess that's the only wrap up they have, like you were saying, Thumb. So yeah, there's a lot more payoff compared to wrap up. So like, I guess. I don't know. Fingers crossed that like Escape to Amphibia will have like what we're looking because I really do want that confrontation. Like I know it was. I guess it was. I know it was never like guaranteed by Matt. I know Matt never said that specifically would be a thing to look forward to, but like I feel like that's a missing piece of the puzzle right now before we're fully prepared to go back. But like. I was like, God damn. I mean, I know it's a 22-minute special, but like, is it enough to fit everything in we're looking for?
Yeah, that's what I said too.
I mean, everything could be centered mostly on Earth, with the exception of the last like 2 or 3 minutes. And it would still feel like,
I don't
okay,
know.
we escaped to Amphibia.
I do feel
Yeah.
like the way that the title is "Escape to Amphibia" does feel like it implies that their escape will be the main focus, or perhaps all that stuff going down will be like part of their escape to Amphibia, and them like planning how to get there will be the quote unquote escape, and they only make it at the end of the episode.
Right. And I think like also like Nick, you mentioned like Mr. X, like he's been already established as the like as an antagonist or adversary to like the planners and Anne. So like maybe
Yeah.
his desperation to capture them is what leads to the a little bit of the escape role. But then maybe since this is a mid-season finale, Andreas has his own game, his own ideas, and he sends something else that like eclipses whatever Mr. X was trying to do, and that just makes the escape even more dramatic. And then that on top of possibly having to deal with Sasha and Marcy's parents, since that was teased like in Froggy Little Christmas, maybe that's gonna come immediately after, because especially in season 3A, there are no strange like season 3A has been kind of carrying over certain details in the immediately in the episode after or segment after. And
Yeah.
Imagine if Mr. X thinks that like the planners were like agents for Andreas kind of scoping out the area before he invaded.
Maybe? I think, like, so I think I'm kind of doubting that he'll end up as a villainous role, because it'll be his third appearance. And as per rule of three, usually, pretty much always, the third time something happens, the third time somebody appears, or there's a specific fight with a particular enemy, you subvert it on the final fight. The final moment, it's like, fight, something changes, something's different, something special about that moment. So in this case, it might be the difference is um, he's coming in as an ally. Maybe it's not in the original part, but I reckon the next time we see Mr. X, by the end of the episode, he'll be fighting with Anne,
oh,
or at least in some kind of allied way.
right, I think
Yeah,
the
that's
threat of Andreas, I think that's definitely going to
Mm.
shift Mr. X to like our side or the planner's
yeah, that's
side.
what I'm betting on. Yeah. Now I'm honestly I'm just betting on like one quick funny heel turn because maybe it'll take a little while, but I mean we already know that Mr. X is like not a bad person. I mean like like the like I mean there was that one, you know at the end of literally Mr. X like he takes in like the pet frogs and tadpole, and then we in his very next appearance like we see him like taking care of them, so like he just he's just a very eccentric guy who loves doing his job, so like I can't see Mr. X like taking a look at the bigger picture here and then going on the planter's side.
There's also a potential of a Sasha and Grime appearance too.
Like I could see them personally. I could see Darcy showing up before Sasha and Grime, just to set up the threat of Darcy, because
Oh yeah, because
Oh boy, that would be really bad. If that happens.
I feel like
Ooh.
I feel
we
like if
saw
there's
the
any
voice
time
part
for
too.
Darcy to do her full debut, it would be, mid-season finale.
right,
This
like
is true.
Andrews
Yeah.
Andrews already
We have
sent
that voice
Cloakbot.
time we're looking for.
Like Andrews already sent Cloakbot, and then now if he knows like whatever Terry or Anne does with like the portal, like I was guessing that like Anne uses her powers to get the portal to like it's the final piece in the puzzle to like unlock the portal to Amphibia, and then immediately Andrews is going to lock into that. He's immediately going to send Darcy in to take care of Anne because of course, like, not of course, just like it would be much more effective than Cloakbot to send in your friend
Mhm.
to kill her
Darcy
friend.
would probably do it themselves. Like if they're gonna go to Amphibia, they're gonna go by themselves, not under the order of Andreas.
Yeah, I agreed there.
Yeah, because I know, like,
Oh right,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
I think, I
forgot.
mean,
I forgot that Darcy is the core.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I know, see, like that's just like the weird feeling that comes from the fact that you also know it's like Marcy combined with her. I guess it makes her whole dynamic really weird because like they're supposed to be like basically like what, like slave and master, but it's like I don't know. That doesn't feel like a typical one to me, but yeah,
It's Marcy's personality that makes the core act a lot more eccentric.
yeah.
Yeah, we established it before.
And then we kind of need an explanation why they'd be able to spot and hear, or because we know they're getting back to Amphibia. Maybe like what's the reason Andrews can't like locate Anne once they use the portal? Like, because I'm guessing what my big thing is like once the portal's opened up, Andrews can like detect that somehow, and then they probably have to like Anne and the planners have to start off like kind of far away before they reunite with Wartwood, just so they don't like bring the chaos there, unless Wartwood is already like under siege. But I feel like the
All the
show.
portals are temporary.
Pardon?
No, the portal could be temporary.
Oh right, I
But
think
go on. Sorry.
yeah, right. Like it could be temporary. They go in, they come out the other end, and then somehow like Andrews can't track them once they're in Amphibia again, and that gives us like a little bit of time to breathe. Uh, yeah, like I'm pretty much done my point. I'm guessing like, do you guys want to talk about Commander Anne and Sprivy?
Do we?
Okay.
Okay, we'll do some.
We do.
Okay, wait,
I guess
well,
if I had any like last thoughts, like any quick last thoughts, just
okay, last thoughts on.
I,
I don't want to say
think
last
the next
thoughts.
episode.
Oh, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Okay, I'm just saying. I feel like I guess like the next episode. I guess I will say not to be honest or anything, but I feel like it is carrying on a lot. And I just hope everything goes well. That's all I want to say.
Yeah,
This is
that's
like
fine to.
this is like the episode. Yeah, this is like the episode that will seal every season 3A has set up.
Right. I do think I think it will succeed. I have faith.
Yeah.
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 I believe.
All right. Now,
So Commander Anne and Sprivy, I guess starting with
Commander N.
we can do both at the same time. I think okay, let's start general thoughts. We'll go one at a time. Okay, Lemur.
Commander Anne alone as a title makes me so hyped because that means that there's gonna be a really big change in dynamic, particular relationship that we have all been looking forward to, right? It's like so. This reminds me of two things. One is that Sasha and Grover are definitely gonna go back. Two, Anne is gonna go back and Anne's gonna have military power, which I guess makes sense because remember in Turning Point, they're just holding Sasha and Glenn are holding the fort for Anne to come back. So once she does come back, she's gonna lead the charge. 3, that means Sasha is now underneath Anne's rule. And I can't wait for that dynamic to play out.
All right, thank you.
Oh,
Lemur.
it's gonna be so fun, bro. Oh god, I can't.
Thank you, Lemur. Sunsfury, what are your thoughts on Commander Anne and Sprivy, if you want?
Okay, so I have to agree with Lima on wholeheartedly on Commander Anne. I am excited. It is going to be exciting. We are finally going to see Anne and Sasha properly reunite, and it's going to be great. Oh, I'm looking forward to it for post Turning Point Sasha, and to actually meet and be like, oh hey, so are we like actually buddies now? Yeah.
It's interesting too because this is gonna be the first time where season 3 and post Turning Point Sasha interact for the first time, and it's gonna be interesting. You know,
Right.
this is gonna be the Anne. This is gonna be an Anne who finally started trusting others again because of what happened with 3A, and then there's also gonna be a Sasha that finally decided to do something to do better. And whether Anne is still skeptical about that or she trusts her is beyond me. But I am excited how this plays out.
Right. And Pickle, what are your thoughts on Commander Anne?
I'm mostly I kind of have a lot that Lemur and Sunsfury said, but also I do I want to like point out in the title they call her Commander Anne, and that reminds me of they called the Toads in Total are called Sasha Commander Sasha. I'm pretty sure. So I
Yeah.
wonder if this might be some sort of more than just like the base level role swap. It's going to be her on top in the friendship or something like that, causing conflict. It could also be like maybe her taking more of Sasha's role, like season 1 wise, like her being all the military general, maybe even her going too far. I'm not sure how like well this will work out because I definitely see Anne's more trusting and Sasha's apologetic, but I don't think things will work out great. Definitely not immediately. I don't even know if it'll be actually resolved by the end of the episode, just because I feel like this is such a huge jump to take now. It could definitely go very interestingly. It could also possibly play into stuff surrounding up an army against Andreas and stuff. Could be really interesting.
All right, thank you, Pickle. Nick, what are your thoughts on Commander Anne?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with what everyone has said here because I'm expecting Commander Ann to be an episode just to be entertaining alone by just how much the dynamic between Sasha and Anna have changed by then because it's going to be there's just so much potential to make this a great episode because I know with Sasha there's the fact that she basically um so that she commit to being a better person not just for herself but also for Anne back in Turning Point. So it'll be awesome to see like what sort of results we have now and how that's going to really freak out Anne and stuff. And I know with I feel like we're gonna be like we're gonna have some good stuff to look forward to with the potential of Anne being in a higher position compared to Sasha because I feel like for Sasha the easy part will be like getting along with Wartwood, like finding a comfortable place to lead Wartwood. But I feel like the hard part will be fighting that temptation when she sees Anne not to be in control. You know what I mean? Because like that's what their relationship was based on for. Well, we don't really know how long, but I'm just going to guess for a very long time, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see how that challenges the ball for them, how much they both changed.
Thank you, Nick. And yeah, I think Commander Anne is going to be well, what I think it's going to be about is Anne is going to be she's back in Amphibia. She thinks like she's gotten used to Wartwood. She thinks this world is familiar to her. And then when she comes back, everything's changed. Everything is going to she has to relearn everything again, like current events, where characters are at the moment, and it's going to all happen too fast for her. At least that's what's going to be the conflict for her. Like that's what I think. And then all this on top of Sasha there, this is going to be like a kind of like a this is going to be like one of her like biggest challenges coming in. All this responsibility is going to be like thrown on her. She doesn't know really what to do or how to do it. And then you're going to have like this you're going to have Sasha who's been trying to be better kind of like feel the urge to like Sasha will feel like she knows what she's doing more than Anne, but then she has to fight that like that part of herself that would normally kind of like take over, and she kind of has to like we kind of have to see Anne kind of stumble a bit before she like gets the hang of like being a leader of like more than a group of four, which was the planners in this case. She has to like lead more than she has to, yeah, like just leadership role. She's already accomplished getting like she'll probably accomplish getting the planners back to Amphibia, which was her main goal this entire time in 3A, and now she has to think about part 2, which is taking out Andreas.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it's also going to be interesting how Anne is going to apply everything she has. It's going to be interesting how Anne is going to apply everything she has learned in 3A in this episode.
Right, I think she's going to try and start off like simple, and because of maybe because things have changed in Amphibia, she can't really like take the same approach as like starting off small, and she can't really catch up with everyone, so she's like a little bit more stressed about the whole situation. And
I mean, like,
and I think who
oh,
said
sorry, keep going.
oh sorry who said about the point about the toads like look at each other like they consider their leader commander.
Pickle.
Right, so I think, yeah, like I think Pickle, I think you said this in the main server about Grime. Maybe he's going to have all the like the sudden respect for Anne. I'm not sure if you said that, but I
Oh,
think
actually, I don't think that was me, but I
I
think I could get that point.
I'd love the idea of like the surprise Grime episode being him interacting with Anne and trying to be an advisor to her.
It's gonna be the
I
Grime
feel
episode
like
is gonna be an Anne and Grime episode. That's actually gonna be really fire.
Yeah, I feel like it's just gonna be like 11 minutes of him trying to kiss up to Anne because now she's all this. She's like this new powerful figure, but yeah, just oh yeah, shoot, something I want to add to like the Commander Anne discussion. What I'm betting. I think I'm betting on the just with the development that Anne's gotten in 3A and just what she's learned. I think she might. I think it'll be an easier time for her to get through all these problems compared to her at the start of 3A, because I feel like part of it's just been about her like learning how to deal with a seemingly impossible task and like a world she hasn't explored in a very long time, right? That feels all new to her again, and I feel like that's sort of going to be the same vibe of her returning back to Amphibia. So while like well, while this world now has even crazier stakes compared to her time on Earth, if Andrew's basically like turning Amphibia like upside down, I mean, there's that. But I think, yeah, she's learned to like rely on people to take things sort of slow when she needs to sort of like to pace herself instead of like harming herself and trying to reach her goals. So I have faith that Anne will be able to deal with this easier.
Right, and I think we can go into Sprivy now, which is an episode title, Sprivy.
Yes, Sprivy.
I guess starting with
Can
Sunsfury.
Oh.
Sunsfury, what are your thoughts on Sprivy?
It's an episode that is going to exist. I'm interested to see where it goes, kind of, because it's a 3B episode, so something could really suddenly go down, and I would not be surprised. If it was just a straight out, okay, here's the Sprivy episode, I'll be alright. I would be kind of surprised, honestly, if it gets played straight.
All right.
So I think something weird's going to happen, or at least something unexpected.
All right. Thank you, Sunsfury. Pickle, what are your thoughts on Sprivy, the potential segment?
I kind of jumped the gun earlier, so you know part of it. Although I definitely understand what Sunsfury getting at. I'm betting that is going to be. I mean, I don't doubt that there will be something going on. I mean, there's no way that the plot's going to be Sprig and Ivy go on a date and nothing happens interesting. but I don't think it'll be that unexpected. I think that the focus will still be Sprivy. I think it'll be, you know, a wholesome Sprivy episode, maybe with a twist. But I don't think the twist will be huge.
All right, thank you, Pickle. Lemur, thoughts on Sprivy?
Right. Two things. One, can we invite Orb for the podcast just for this episode?
I think he already wrote his name down on the list.
Yes. Oh wait, no. I think no.
shit.
Oh wait, I thought that was a suggestion. Wait, I thought it was a suggestion.
I think he just wrote it there, or I don't know who wrote it. But anyways, like getting back on topic.
Alright. Second, people might complain about having like Sprivy episode in the middle of 3B.
Well, I don't think
And-
anyone's complaining about that.
I know, but like, you know what? Like, it's kind of weird that they're putting like a shipping episode in the middle of like, oh, the most story driven episode, like part of the series. But I don't know. Like, something I feel about this is that the reason why Sprivy is happening is because like Spring hasn't seen Ivy for a long time, and vice versa too, right? And because they're in the middle of, well, let's just say a war, they're probably not going to have much time to spend with one another. So they might as well spend all the time they have now instead of just wasting it away. You know? So I feel like, yeah, it's going to be a Sprivy episode, but I think it's going to come from a place of seriousness because, you know, like, they're going to be embroiled in a very big conflict soon or right now at that time. So they're going to feel the need to spend that time because there's not much of it left. And this could really either be like, I kind of expect it to be one very emotional episode, yo. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure if this is gonna happen, but there is a chance that they could.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Nick, thoughts on Sprivy?
I mean, I won't lie. Listen. Don't freak out. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not like.
You think they're gonna break up? That's what I
No,
was thinking.
I'm just not the biggest
whoops.
Sprivy fan. So I won't
There you
lie.
go.
When I
This is
saw
what
this
I
title,
told you.
when I saw this title, I was like, okay. They're cute, and that's all. That's all they are to me. They're just a cute little couple. I mean, they're just a pair of kids. There's not really much for me to say about their whole relationship. Like, and I'm like, this is nice. I know people like Orb. You know what I mean. They're trying to claw for any Sprivy content they can get from the show at this point. So this is nice. This might be the date episode, maybe the kiss that people have been looking forward to.
Yes,
Like
I
a long
said.
time now, but like, I don't know, man. If they said like Hop Sylvia, that would have caught my attention. I won't lie, but I'm gonna be sleeping on this episode. I'm gonna be sleeping. I don't even give a shit what happens. If this is just about Ivy and Spring, I will low key be sleeping on it. But hey, it's gonna be a fun, cute little episode. That's what I can at least admit to that.
That's what you said about Michelangelo and
I didn't want to bring that up, but I'll roast Nick later
What?
off screen about it. I'll save my rage at Nick outside the podcast. But yeah, I mean, okay, I think so. A Sprivy episode, like personally, I think they're going to break up, but it's going to be like extremely like immiscible, if that's the right word. I'm looking.
Amicable.
I'm quickly googling this if I said it right.
Amicable.
Amicable. Oh man, I was completely.
Oh, do you mean like amendable? Like something you can amend?
No, like something that ends on good terms. I'm listening to the
Amicable.
Oh,
amicable. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops. That's
Yeah.
that's my fault.
yikes! Goddamn thumb. Like, hold on. Explain. So, why do you think they're gonna break up? Like, now I'm interested.
I
In the
think
middle of a war.
I think it's going to be something about Anne and Sasha. Like I think it's going to be like a Sprig's birthday scenario where we think it's about them, but it's actually about someone else. So like Sprig's birthday was mostly about Anne. So I think Sprivy is going to be about Anne and Sasha, and then
Sasham.
we're going to
Well,
we're going to see Sprivy kind of fall apart, and then Anne and Sasha try to salvage that despite their differences. And then
Ooh.
when Sasha and Anne finally like get along, like Sprig and Ivy are gonna be like, yeah, we still broke up, but we're just like completely chill about it.
What? This,
I mean, like,
oh my god! But I
They're
don't
gonna be
know.
like-
Like,
honestly, be really good though.
I think what you're saying is possible because I know like
Yeah.
there's always been that conflict between them where it's like Sprig always has these wonderful, amazing adventures without Ivy, and like you know what I mean. Like she's never really gotten to spend any like really meaningful time with him. I guess. I mean, like you know, they have like hung out. You know, they have hung out while they've been dating and stuff. But it's like you know, what I mean, they've never gone on like grand adventures like Sprig always talks to her about, and like they're always separating and stuff, and like. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I can see potential. I can see the potential, though.
Oh, yeah. Also, bro, again, that's gonna be another tease for an Ivy and Sasha. So I'm happy with that.
I feel like if that does happen, I can imagine Anne and Sasha basically like using Sprig and Ivy to try to like talk about their relationship, but indirectly. And then Sprig and Ivy are just like, "Are you guys okay? We just decided we like each other better as friends," and they're like arguing and crying over it.
Hey,
Yeah,
if the episode goes in the direction,
Yeah, there's still 13-year-old girl. They're 13-year-old girls. That's gonna be something that they will try over.
yeah, I will say if the episode goes in the direction you guys are talking about, I will not be sleeping on it.
Like, I can see
I don't like. Listen.
Says the Bessie and Michelangelo.
so
Okay.
I'm just saying if Sprig and Ivy break up, I can see everyone except Sprig and Ivy being like super bummed out about it.
Especially Hot Pop, because he's
Yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
get that
Especially the
freaking.
fandom. Like,
He's not gonna get the
sad.
grant anymore.
Hopup's gonna be crying. He's like, my business prospects, Spring. What have you done?
I buy this too much.
I didn't buy this too much, too.
I buy into this theory way too much.
If this episode is not gonna be that, I'll be very disappointed.
I just because they're also like literally children, and I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but like what are they like? What 10, 11? I mean, the chances of that relationship even like lasting this long, I mean, like they're pretty lucky at that. So I don't know. I mean, I can see it. I never thought like I never thought about this before. I never thought about the idea of them breaking up. If I ever said it,
Yeah.
I was joking. But now thinking it's like he's making that a very believable idea right now.
If that's gonna happen, yeah, we're probably gonna need to we're gonna need to take up Order the podcast now.
Because the thing is, like, when it comes to anything but like Sprig is 11, but then when it comes to like interpersonal friendships, he all of a sudden becomes like a 500-year-old like wise like ever like unwavering like well of wisdom.
Went off. I mean, yeah, honestly,
wise
I
for
can
some
see
guy
Sprig
who had,
handling
like,
it in
no
like such a
friends.
mature. Oh, sorry, Pickle. No, keep going, Pickle.
He's pretty wise for some guy who had like no friends before the start of the show. Although it's kind of inconsistent that like, he says that, but Ivy's right there.
Yeah.
Right, it's just that like when it comes to friendships, like that's like the one thing Sprig is like super like mature
Yeah.
about, but then like everything else he's like just an average like 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, he's just a moron. Like completely a moron about. It's
Spring is better at analyzing the friendship of 13-year-old girls than learning what 1 + 1 is.
Uh,
What?
I mean, like
feel like
Sprig's smarter than that. I'm just meaning like literally anything other than friend. Oh,
I know, I'm just exaggerating,
Yeah, I know.
but yeah, the point still stands.
yeah, like that one time where like all because an elderly woman didn't return his affection.
Hey man, that came from the fact that you didn't have a mom, right?
Like
It's crazy.
Wow,
just
I
like
didn't
every
think
time
about
this,
that before.
every time an older woman just like enters Sprig's life, he just becomes immediately
Yeah.
like a monster.
Yeah, literally. And
Yeah, I
like,
know,
as soon as
right?
they don't return him the affection he wants, he just loses
Yeah.
his goddamn mind.
I know. Hey,
It's happened to one too many times. Is all I'm
he
saying.
never had a mom. All right, give the kid a break.
I guess I think we can wrap up for tonight or today.
Yeah.
So I guess I think everyone already gave their final thoughts on the episode. uh, yeah, I think we covered everything. I guess Lemur.
Oh wait, hold on. Wait. How? What about What about the other titles that got quote unquote leaked?
Oh right. We'll probably save that for another night once we get more info.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like we already spent I forgot how long on today.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll discuss that another day. But with that, Lemur, any quick final thoughts?
For the episodes.
Just anything in general.
Yeah. I am curious about what's going to happen in the next episode in the next month. I am that's I'm very, very I am a little looking forward to it, but I'm going to keep my expectations in check. But I think it's going to be good. That's all I can say.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Sunsfury, final thoughts.
Final thoughts? Yay with what we've got, and hooray for more.
All right, thank you, Sunsfury. Pickle, final thoughts.
I basically said everything. I guess I'm excited for Amphibia to return. So excited to review those too. The upcoming episodes.
All right, thank you, Pickle. Nick, final thoughts.
I mean, really fun episodes. Can't wait to see the next batch of episodes. I mean, I forgot how good and fun early 2A was.
All right, thank you, Nick. And yeah, like I enjoyed a hop hop western segment and then the Anne hallucinating dancing episode. Hopefully that leads to something more. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Amphibia coming back after
Oh,
a very brief hiatus.
and hopefully not for the last time.
And yeah, in terms of like the podcast, we're just going to cover like we're not going to wait to go through 2B. We'll go straight into the season 3 episodes and
Yeah, and the last episode that we're gonna discuss for 2A is Marcy at the Gates. So
Yeah. well yeah,
yeah,
like hopefully
look forward for my 4-hour rant about
right,
how good Marcy at the Gates is. Yeah, there you go.
right. And I don't like what we see right now. I'm just assuming we're getting 5 episodes, but we'll probably we might not finish. We might not wrap up to season 2 before the final episode of Amphibia, but like that doesn't bother me too much. Like as long as we get to talk about the episodes, I'm satisfied. But with that, that pretty much concludes this week's episode. Thanks for listening, and next week we'll be covering.
Stop Polly
and A Caravan Named Desire. Yep,
yeah,
a Polly episode for all the Polly fans out there.
Polly episode and the Hop Hop episode.
Right,
Let's
back to
go.
back Hop Hop episodes. That's
Yeah, crazy. That's some good stuff.
every
right there.
season is Hop Hop season.
You can never have a bad time when it's Hop Hop season.
Exactly. And thanks for listening, and see you guys next time. Say goodbye, everyone.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.